Another month has come and gone, and I've read some comics. Let's dive right into what my favorite comics were from the past month. Let's go ahead and talk about Everything Dead and Dying #1, written by Tate Bromble with artwork by Jacob Phillips. In a sea of zombie media that is always at our fingertips, this feels different yet familiar. It's familiar in the way that we've gotten so much that I don't know how much unexplored territory there is to talk about within the landscape of zombies. But I feel like this does take a very unique and interesting viewpoint as we're kind of dealing with Jack. He's a farmer with a family, and he's kind of coping with the end of the world because he remains kind of immune to the virus that has caused it all. We have no idea the scope of of how this has all impacted the world. We're kind of dealt with the inner city, workings, right? He's on his farm, he goes into town, and basically he's making sure that everything kind of works out and kind of continues, even though he is the only person that remains that is not a zombie. His farmer instincts kick in, and he knows that something is on the horizon that is not going to be good for him or the family that he still cares for, even though they're zombies. But it's really kind of the back and forth. It's kind of him dealing with these things and coping with them and looking into the past and us getting delivered those scenes in the past and how he uses it as a coping mechanism in the present day to kind of get through the day. That makes it a really unique experience. Everything Dead and Dying really did it for me, and I'm kind of curious now with the cliffhanger ending here where we're going to be able to go moving forward. And with my top comic of the week, let's talk about Resurrection Man Quantum Karma #6, written by Ram V with artwork by Anand RK. Man, what a special, stupendous, limited series that we got here. And I gotta say, the creative team, they did it. They landed the plane and they told the story in such a fantastic way. So we're kind of dealt with Mitch Shelley as he was pushed off of the ledge in the previous issue, as now we've come to the revelation that he has been fighting himself this entire time. And now he kind of comes back, again, resurrected, almost as part of Samsara. And what Ram really speaks towards in this issue is that while he has lived uncountable lives, and he is kind of continuing on, and he is in some ways immortal, he talks about the inevitability of life and lives and the consequences that we have in existence itself. Things are very cyclical, and he kind of uses that as a mechanism to show not only the repeat mechanisms that he has in Mitch Shelley's life, but also as a way to kind of put the bow on this storyline and really kind of show a satisfying conclusion while it can also continue as well. Anand he deserves so many accolades for this series. It's stupendous. You're not going to find another book that you read this year that looks anything like this whatsoever, and I don't think that there's another artist that could have delivered what Ram was visualizing with his narrative other than Anand RK. Some of the best works in comics that I've seen here, you should definitely be checking out, because Resurrection Man Quantum Karma was absolutely worthy of top comic of the week. Let's talk Absolute Batman #12, written by Scott Snyder with artwork by Nick Dragotta. Dragotta, dude. Dragotta. It took me one page to totally just be enamored with everything that he brought back to this book again. We had that one issue with Clayman, and it just didn't work for me. I couldn't see the through line for the artistic approach here. I enjoyed the storyline, but I don't know, that artwork was just missing something. And we are totally back here, man. It is just the same kind of things, the strengths that Dragotta has already displayed continues to be in full force. It's just a fun, brutal book that we get here, and all the promises that Bane make in regard to how he would break the bat, yeah, they are 100% here. We kind of get we saw it a little bit with Waylon Jones, but we get more so as now the Rogues Gallery of Batman is starting to be developed. They were his friend group, but now we know that all of the decisions that Bruce has made thus far has put his friends in danger. Now that danger has come, it's taken place, and it has irrevocably changed that friend group now. We see brutal versions. We see just versions that are so disgustingly dastardly gross of the Rogues Gallery that it makes me really excited to see where they're going to be taking these characters moving forward. Batman has changed, the Rogues Gallery has changed. I feel like for the first time in this book, we're dealing with a different absolute Batman, and that gets me really excited. And with my top comic of the week, let's talk Conan the Barbarian, number 24, written by Jim Zub with artwork by Fernando Dagnino. So Conan and Zula descend into the pits of the Stygian lair as they are, Conan has made this promise to Zula. He said, okay, you get me out of here and I will help you kind of destroy the lair and everything that's in there here, which they thought were going to be more of the snake creatures. And they're kind of right, but not fully. So Dagnino does an incredibly, absolutely stunning job at this. Each scene is just staged perfectly. This is a big action-packed kind of storyline, and it just delivers every single time. There are jump scares, there's moments of brutality, there's moments of just like kineticism and action, and he gets to deliver on all of them. In fact, there's some moments with Conan swinging his sword, let me tell you, it hits, and it hits really, really hard. The end scene is incredibly brutal, and Zub really makes you feel it. It's so earned. This is like, we're jumping now into the next big event involving the Serpent and the Stygian within the universe of Conan, and I gotta say, between this and Savage Sword of Conan, which came out last week, it's getting me super hyped. Let's talk The Seasons, number 8, written by Rick Remender with artwork by Paul Azaceta. The dialogue in this book continues to just be so fun and so charming. It keeps like the weight of the dread of the circus really well balanced with the levity of the dialogue and the quippy nature of our kind of main character within Spring. One of the lines she says here, "Lego, ya Christmas ham." Oh my God, it's just, it kind of makes you smile to yourself, even though she's in great peril throughout the time that she's like delivering these lines. We get some of the possibilities on how to stop the circus as Spring springs into action, and we start to see some of the clues that Autumn was leaving behind that is going to potentially help her on her journey. Also, there are some times in here where you really get to see a writer insert themselves into a book and their thought patterns, and I gotta say, when the character of Winter says, "Art is a risk or it's nothing," I hear Remender. I hear that, and it just rings so true. I love what this book is turning into. I love the character dynamics that we're getting here. Now that the circus is maybe kind of on its heels a little bit, I can't wait to see what this means and what the cliffhanger means, particularly for that character of Winter. The Seasons is great. It's fun. It's bright, but it's also dreary and dreadful, and I really like that. And with my top comic of the week, let's talk No Man's Land, number 1, written and drawn by Simon Krodansky. So if you're looking for escapism in a comic, go ahead and stick with Battle Beast, because that's going to be the perfect book for you. This, though, not so much. Within the first 3 pages of this issue, it felt eerily similar to the things that we're seeing in the news, or maybe more appropriately, not seeing in the news. A body is kind of found on this ice bridge that develops between Alaska and Russia, and there is one FBI agent that's on the verge of retirement that's kind of called in to be the liaison and the person that investigates this case. And it's kind of playing on some really cool things here. This feels like an Oliver Stone type story. Maybe it's just because I was recently watching JFK again, but it feels kind of in that same vein. And I think that Krodansky really knows what they're playing with, especially considering that the variant covers of the series really kind of work towards that cinematic aspect here. They're kind of playing with the idea of movies and what we've been delivered in those movies with that same kind of scope, if that makes sense. On top of that, the way that he lays out the panel work and the way that the story develops is very cinematic in scope as well. It feels like a really good first episode of something here, and I love when writers can really deliver that same experience with an issue number 1. Krodansky does a great job here. I love every single thing about this. It's just kind of like hits on the things that I love about stories here. And yes, I'm kind of like a person that likes those JFK type of stories, so this was right up my alley. If it was yours as well, let me know in the comments, but I gotta tell you, this was totally worthy of top comic of the week. And with my runner-up pick of the week, let's talk Green Arrow number 28, written by Chris Condon with artwork by Montos. So Green Arrow continues his investigation as he saves another victim here who has been overdosed here with these arrows that are filled with a heroin-like substance. Montos has another great outing here. I feel like his artwork really just shines through on this, with it being kind of a gritty street level type of superhero book. I love the scene where Roy and his daughter are on patrol, right? And it's kind of just the back and forth conversation where Roy's trying to get his footing again here now that he has kind of been discharged from the hospital and he's kind of back in the swing of things here. But his daughter, kind of, I don't know, the back and forth there's a great relationship aspect that's being built on there. The other thing that's being built on here is Chris Condon's appreciation for the legacy of this character. They've done a great job at staying true to the hard-traveling hero aspect of the character of Green Arrow and Oliver Queen, and they play with those ideas, but they modernize them, right? But they also, they don't make him a different character because of it. Is he perfect? No. In fact, that's what makes him great. He's an imperfect character. He does his best, though, and that's where he really shines. And I love what they're doing within this book. Now, it's been revealed that issue number 31 is going to be the last of this series, and Chris Condon and Montos' time on the book. That sucks. There's no two ways about it. But let's appreciate what we get here. Green Arrow was definitely worthy of it. And with my top comic of the week, let's talk Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rites of Spring number 3, written and drawn by Patrick Horvath. Yikes. Good lord, that was a brutal issue, both visually and narratively. We get so much more of the backstory of the character that is Samantha, and she is even more twisted than you could have even imagined, which is crazy to think of considering what we got in the very first series of Beneath the Trees. We get just so much more, introspective natures of living within her head and seeing some of the motivations and seeing the fact that these little tics, the things that make her do the things that she does, have kind of been there forever. And you're in danger no matter who you are and how close you are to her. The town itself within this book is also really great. It shines. It becomes a character unto itself, right? All of the townspeople as well. Because of the first series and how they've built on that within the second series, it feels like people you already know. It feels like that small town attitude that, if you've lived there, you kind of know those character archetypes like through and through. And I think that's what makes it really work well here, because it makes you feel for the characters that are being put in danger with every single page of this book, whether it be from Samantha or someone else. I never thought that they would be able to pull off a sequel to the first series here. They're doing it, and they're doing it arguably even better than that first series. So, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rites of Spring number 3 was absolutely worthwhile of Top Comic of the Week.